This is the best cool choir ever, I swear. Alright, what is up? I'm back with a new video. In this one, I'm talking about this new killing game that just had released its prologue not too long ago. I'd say like a week ago. And it's been stuck in my mind for like a good while now because of the new mechanics that this game is going to provide and allow in this killing game that's gonna be a million times more interesting than the usual danganronpa games we usually play. Now, this is no disrespect to all the three games. They are in their right mind, in their peaks. However, was always curious about what would happen if you would update it in a way to where there's just more than just one person kills somebody and then you find out the culprit. Well, in this game, if you don't know about it, it's called Killcurebeautifulvice. And in this game, it pertains with 16 students and one instructor that is put into a killing game by this demonic monkey, and basically in order for you to escape the school you have to kill and get away with it in order to survive, which that's the typical trope. But then this comes with a twist. These concepts are so good that I just could not make a video on it. So as I said, if you have not played this and you want to see and hear about the concepts and get your own interpretation, the prologue will be in the description down below. But I'm gonna go ahead and get straight into this because when I first was playing it, I didn't think much of it until I really got into later on in my prologue playthrough on the channel. And I was like, wait, this is the hardest concept of all time. Like, I'm actually so intrigued on how many things that can be done with the way this murder game's gonna go. So I'm gonna play the video and I'm going to show you and talk over some of the things that caught my attention really hard about why this is gonna be such a top tier game for futures to come.
The first thing you should do after committing murder is find an accomplice. Someone to rely on, or throw under the bus if things get shaky.
So this is the first thing I had noticed now, because before I was just like, oh, accomplice, whatever, I was just listening. But in this game, they are wanting you to find an accomplice to actually have in your back corner, which is very crazy from the typical trope of, oh, accomplices when you kill, like in any of the trio games, they serve no particular benefit.
Yes, the killer will be granted the privilege of choosing a conspirator to aid them in the coming class trial.
This right here, my hype levels went up to the highest degree. Student or students? This is hard. This is crazy. This shit is crazy. Oh my god, that's crazy. My levels of like how hard this is gonna be is literally so high, it's absolutely astronomically phenomenal. A killer is going to be able to work with someone and then kill somebody, and that to me is so nuts, because having an accomplice with you, or aka a conspirator with you, is going to be like a double mindfuck of like who is involved with this and who else is also backing this person up, whoever it is. Amazing.
Ideally, you'd have cooperated before and during the act of making a corpse, but death never comes at a convenient moment. And who am I to deny the occasional crime of passion? Oh, let's spice things up every once in a while.
This is also another insane concept. So the killer, and then I'm assuming whoever it's going to be, this conspirator, they can talk amongst each other and do it. The one thing about this that I don't know about is the fact that can the killer be able to pick whoever conspirator they want after the murder, basically. That could spice things up. So they could cause the murder, they get with Biz in some way, shape, or capacity and tell them afterhand that I want to be a conspirator. Or can it also be something like, let's say you did the due diligence, you didn't pick anybody as a conspirator, and like when you get towards the trial room, he might pull up like some pad or whatever. I have no idea how the concept is going to be whenever a class trial is supposed to start, but he'll pull it up, and then whoever was the one that did it would have to put their name, sign in, And then after that, they'll be like, do you want to choose a conspirator or do you not? And then you can say yes or no. And then you can also be like, I don't know if it'll go that in depth. I'm just spilling out like ideas here because this is how crazy this new twist of a killing game is going to be so massive. Because having the thought of now you have to worry about 2 people or not is really insane to me. I mean, I think that's one of the greatest things that's ever is going to happen in a game in itself, bro. And this is not to disrespect any of the danganronpas or any of the fan games or whatever, but I think this is super cool because all the fan games are cool. It's shit. This right here had my levels of like, I feel we are going to get so mind fucked beyond capabilities because of this. So back to what I was saying, basically is like, you know, it could be something where either the conspirator and the killer both talks amongst each other, and then they have to get with Biz at some point during the thing, like, yeah, we're gonna do this. Then they do it, and then after that, you know, now they know. Or if it's one of those, like, you have to bring up whatever those arias, or, you know, it's called cocoa pads. You bring up the arias, and then after that, once you have those pads out, you know, you have to specify who's the one that's considered and who's the one that's the killer. That's insane.
When 3 or more people witness a corpse at the same time, the body discovery announcement will sound for all to hear. 3 simultaneous observers of the body, I stress. This isn't your average body discovery announcement. It's an advanced version of it.
So this one was another crazy concept too that I can't believe that's happening with this game as well. So before, in all the other danganronpas, once 3 people saw the body, instantly a trial will be called out. Now you have a chance to where you have to basically force 3 people to be in this scenario at all times in order, like 3 people has to see the body at all the same time at any given time before a class trial can happen. I think why this is so nuts to me is because now you have to rowdy up a bunch to go see and go find out where it is. I think what's also more insane is like, let's say one person sees the body, it won't get called. But now, how is that person going to be able to get around to go find the other people? Now, I'm not saying that the person that found the body is going to get killed, but it makes it feel like it's one of those, oh, like, I gotta go search for somebody. But what if the killer has already thought of that and is finding ways to, like, whether it's knock out somebody who saw the body and without getting undetected or something like that, to make it get delayed as long as possible before they could see the body. So like, I could have me as the, let's say I'm the killer and then I have a conspirator. This person can bring a group of people one way and then he directs somebody another way. I mean, then you possibly get caught. I'm just thinking in my mind, like, the thought of it being now 3 people have to be there all at the same time just feels like you can do some devious shit with this without even like knowing or thinking about it. That's what's insane to me about this new updated version of the BDA from past games.
From then on, the innocent, spotless students will investigate the crime, while the killer, and the conspirator, if one exists, will play the role of the blackened, undermining the truth at every turn.
Hold up real quick, hold up. You already know what I'm getting right now. This is the best choir ever, I swear. This right here is also another crazy one. The killer don't even have to pick a conspirator. He literally, or he or she can literally just drop somebody off and then be like, you know, I didn't need to pick one. I didn't see a reason why to. Or, you know, I do want one. But now is that person able to pick a person for the situation, even if they didn't do anything? Because, oh my, when I tell you, that might be the most insane thing if that's the case. If the killer can pick a conspirator and it had no ties to any of this, but somehow the killer was able to find a way to like make it look like that person, yo, you could die and get killed off for absolutely doing nothing. That shit is insane. That right there is such a phenomenal concept that I actually just cannot believe this is actually happening. The devs cooked. They cooked with this.
Once the investigation comes to an end, all of you will be cordially confined in our courtroom and forced to find the blackened student or students. And at the end, you will vote for a student to be executed. A fatal finale for a fruitless crime.
Damn.
If a spotless student receives the popular vote, all blackened students will earn the right to leave this academy. Meanwhile, the idiots who allowed a mere criminal to best them will be rightfully executed. Talk about a worst-case scenario. The rules are rules. I trust you'll strive to avoid this outcome.
And this outcome is really crazy too, because if they end up voting now a spotless person, now you go into a situation where both the killer and conspirator, if there was one, now escape the school. Now here's why this is so insane. I've always thought of like conspirators and killers like to be a cool concept to add into these type of games, because I always think about situations like if Celeste was working with Hifumi and then they found a way on how to like escape the game during the time when they were planning on getting Taka and stuff like that, how much that could have changed with a concept like this. Another concept could be something like with Kokichi and Gota, where everything was just going wrong, but they were in the virtual world, and then in the virtual world, Kokichi had caused issues where basically he carried out a murder plan and had Gota carried it out, and basically you could use that as your killer conspirator quid pro quo situation, which is actually insane if you really think about it. Gota really was the killer and Kokichi was like kind of the conspirator, and then in a way, in this situation, if you use that, like if you provided this concept into this game, it would be Kokichi dying because everyone would just vote for him, and then Gonta would live because it's not his fault for the situation he was put in. You see what I mean? For someone like that, especially since it was actually the video game character that did it and not Gonta. You see how much of a different concept that would be? I think that would be just insane. This whole thing is just nuts.
If the killer receives the most votes, they alone will be executed. And our curriculum of carnage will continue. But what about the conspirator, you ask? Well, after the trial, they will be cured of their vice and allowed to live on like any other spotless. Oh, boo-hoo! How unfair! They're a filthy, rotten backstabber who nearly doomed you all to mass execution. And you can't do anything about it. Except kill them, of course. Finally, if the conspirator receives a relative majority, they alone will be executed, and things will proceed as usual. This time, the killer is spared, and will continue to walk among you as the game continues. Particularly outrageous, isn't it? They were the ones who did the dirty deed, yet their lackey took the fall.
This is insane!
Right there, why this is the most insane concept ever is because of that alone. If the killer is the one that is picked first, they will die, and the conspirator was just along for the ride, trying to get you guys killed. Oh, but you know, I survived, you know, and then after that, you have to live on like a normal day, even though they were betraying you wholeheartedly, trying to get rid of you. So both the killer and the conspirator gone. Oh my god, like these trials in the future is gonna have some devious shit. You're gonna sit here, and then what if the conspirator was like, yeah, I'll tag along with you, killer, but then the killer's like, you know something, let me like really pin this on that person, even though they weren't the ones that did the killing. I'm gonna pin this against them. And then the conspirator dies, but then you had a killer that was like, oh my god, that junk is gonna be crazy. Cause think about it, you kill off the conspirator, and then guy/gal's gonna be like, sorry, it was actually my bloody hands that did it. And then they with a smile on their face, like, yeah, like they cheesing, like, I tried, but it didn't work. Better luck next time. Everyone else in the room is basically gonna be in fear. I think fear is going to be brought up to everyone's hearts. Something as crazy as this person we just killed off a conspirator, which I guess in a way also it's deserved if they did it. I think that's going to be the main key factor of this too, is if the killer does something and they can force to have a conspirator and we killed a conspirator that did nothing wrong, that's going to be devious. But if they're also along for the ride, then hey, it's, you know, it's one or the other. But at the end of the day, you still want to get the killer mainly because they're the ones that actually did the deed versus the person that just conspired to it. Even though, in a way, the conspirator was trying to get rid of you at the end of the day. Holy crap, I just thought of something super crazy. I don't know if the devs will have time to do this, but what if they do a crazy concept with this game where you could end up deciding on if there is both a conspirator and a killer at the same time? You could basically make two alternate routes. Think of it as if anyone's played Zero Escape before, you know that you do a pathway, depending on your decision will decide on if pathway A or B will happen. What if the devs cook with this and decide to say, okay, you have the choice on who you believe is either the killer or the conspirator, and then you kill off one of them and they will continue on your playthrough. I'll use two of the characters that they have, for example. Let's say we have Iki and Monzo. Iki was the one that did the killing and Monzo was the conspirator. But we are voting off Iki because he's the killer in our eyes. Like, we're making the decision with all the clues that we have that he's the killer, right? And then he's gone. We now play the rest of the game with Monzo. But then, what if we end up killing Monzo instead, who is the conspirator? And now Iki's still alive. Now the playthrough will continue on with Iki. And we get two separate executions that happen at the same time. But you went a different path depending on your playthrough. I feel that concept would be insanely hard, but I know that would take a buttloads amount of work for a fan game to even add a concept like this, to add choices into a killing game. When I look at this game seems like it would be one of those games that would have a crazy concept like that, where I decide to say, okay, bump that, I want to get rid of, I feel this guy's more in line as the killer, and then I kill him. Or, because at the end of the day, with all these with the trials, the real main goal is really to kill the killer. Like, the conspirator also is evil and diabolical as hell because they're swaying away, but the person that actually did the deed, who actually was able to do the killing, is the biggest scare that I have more than anything else. So you would always try to aim to get rid of the killer versus keeping the conspirator. And that's my personal opinion on this though, which I feel would be insane, man. This is why my head is just wrapping around in 1,000,000 miles per hour. Yo, there's just so many things that can be done, and it's actually so exciting. I think right there, this whole concept of this killcure finding out people is going to get so insanely crazy.
You little shit!
Exactly. Two people will always be at all times working with each other if there is a conspirator, and that's what's gonna make this crazy, bro. It ain't like one mind going against it isn't against one mind going against a whole bunch of people. It's two minds working against everybody. And if you got some good pairings, it can go dummy. This is nuts. Vouching for each other, like two people vouching for each other really is gonna make you think to yourself like, yo, why is this man backing up this person as much as it is? Or why is this person backing up this one as much as, oh, you're gonna be thinking all over the place on potential murder with concept.
Hear me well.
And this one was also more insane. There's also a few technicalities when it comes to multiple victims, multiple killers, the votes, suicide, whatever, right? And I'm gonna have to pull this up because I feel like pulling this up will give a better idea on how nuts this can actually go. So you got this many scenarios. So we got killing scenarios. You have one killer, no conspirator. You can have one killer, one conspirator. You can end up having two killers, two conspirators, two killers, one conspirator, because one could be picked and then one cannot, right? You can have a suicide with one conspirator. Like, let's say, could someone be as devious enough to conspire a suicide to happen, and then in reality they didn't do the killing, but you have to figure out the killer that killed themselves, but also the conspirator? Yo, I'm just thinking to myself all of the most devious scenarios that could possibly happen in this game right now. Oh my gosh, you can have so many. And then can one conspirator have multiple? Oh, can one killer have multiple conspirators? It's like an endless cycle of things right now of like what can actually happen. Can a tied vote kill both conspirator and killer? Or if it is tied, does that mean we will leave it at a draw and both still live? And both still live. Wow, like, you see how many things that can go wrong with this? I mean, there's so many things, like scenarios that you can put into this that can all just go crazy wrong. Like, I'm thinking like, bro, what else can be done at this point? You don't have nothing else that can be done at this point. It's like survival of the fittest at this point. It's just straight up survival of the fittest. And that's why I believe this whole killcurebeautifulvice killing game mechanism concept from Clash Trials from here on out is going to have your brain in a whole types of fuckery. It's going to be insane. And the rules that are going to go along with this, bro, so many things are going to happen. And you're just not going to have a single clue what the hell can be done. It's just also amazing how, like, with this game, they are even going beyond a different level to show you, like, hey, we're going to add this, and now you're going to have to figure out who's who, just to know that at the end of all be all, you know, the chance of you killing both of them is hard. The chance of you getting a conspirator against the, you know, regular person that did the deed is still alive. I mean, I cannot be thankful and amazed enough that we are in a perfect timeline of just absolute peak fiction writing from these devs. I just can't right now. Like, I'm really just in absolute shock with this, on how many things can possibly be done. And these are just like, and I'm sure people could in the comments could possibly find out other scenarios. Like, I'm thinking one killer, no conspirator, one killer, one conspirator, two killers, two conspirator. Then there's a suicide, one conspirator, you know, and the laundry list can go on of like multiple things that can be done, especially if we end up getting near the end, because there's a time limit, and then there's a whole like free-for-all sudden death match because no one wants to do anything to anybody. So I had to talk about this. I probably rambled on a lot for sure, but I wanted to bring up, like, this is just off the dome, like sitting down and off at the top of my head, because that is one of the biggest, most disbelief things I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm looking at Iki Namiki and Monzo like crazy because they're a duo. I also am looking at Fan and Yato like crazy because they're kind of a duo. You know, everybody else is kind of in the if of like, I don't really know, but those two pairings right now, they are looking like killer conspirator type selections. Boy, when I tell you, it's going to be a crazy one. I mean, we're going to have a crazy trial from here on out with this game. I mean, every trial is going to be jam-packed with just like, holy shit, my brain is fried. I promise you. We're going to be like scatterbrain after this, I'm telling you. But yeah, wanted to bring this up because I really liked what they did with this game. I really loved how excited I am with the gaming aspect, with all the voice acting, the development in this, and it was on my mind for a while. And I really sat here and didn't know what I wanted to do. I really spent more time looking at like how I wanted to make my thumbnail versus how I wanted to speak on the concept of how great this game is going to be. So yeah, if you have not played the game, or you haven't, or you want to, all the links down below on where you can download it and play it, and then all the handles for the killcurebeautifulvice is down below. I just had to make a second video because I am so amazed by this concept. I am truly amazed by this concept. So for the future to hold, boy, I cannot wait. I really cannot wait. But yep, that's it for me. So if you listen to me just rambled on and talk about this, I absolutely thank you. This entire whole concept thing of what you get to do with scenarios with these killers is going to be French kiss. Like, it's literally going to be a different ball game playing field when the time gets around to it. So yep, that's it for me. So I definitely thank you guys for watching again, and I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.